just want to film the City Hall Park area. We're walking along Park Row. This is Spruce Street. We're heading for Broadway. It's December 28th, 2020. After a quiet Christmas. I noticed a lot of people who seem to be in town for New Year's Eve coming up, but there's not going to be any New Year's Eve gathering in Times Square. But it's just like previous years, you usually see an influx of tourists into the city. I even saw a double-decker bus with people riding on it, wearing their mask, and it's a little bit warmer than average right now. It's in the 40s, but this morning it was in the 30s. And I have to find out who designed this red brick building. I've always admired it amongst many beautiful old buildings. I like this one here, looking through the buildings with the tower. I have to find out who designed some of these beautiful buildings in Lower Manhattan, mixed in with some brand new buildings. This is brand new. This whole tower, the gray on the left and the tan in the middle, all housing with commercial on the lower floors. There used to be a very popular record stores and stereo store here, J&R Music World, which was kind of an institution, sort of like Tower Records was. And they sold, I guess they made a lot of money from the property that they sold. I believe they own the property. This is the Woolworth building, which at one time was the tallest building in the world. And this building across the street from it, this tan building, it's called the Transportation Building. I'm not sure why. I'll have to learn about the history of that, but on this site, on this block, there used to be a famous hotel, old hotel, in the 1800s, where presidents stayed. I believe President Tyler, maybe after he was in office, his first wife had died and he remarried to a woman who was a young woman who was like 30 years younger than him, and he stayed at the hotel here the night before he got married. And this building is impressive too, with the balcony, two sets of balconies. So a lot of architectural history in Lower Manhattan. Looking back up City Hall Park, and that's the Manhattan Municipal Building. Sort of is being dappled by some sunlight. And that's the trouble with Lower Manhattan. You're in the shadows so much of the time. That's commerce for you, I guess. That old church-like looking building, I think it's St. Paul's Chapel of Trinity Church. There's like two ancient churches, ancient by American standards, on Lower Broadway here. And across Barclay Street here. This building, kitty corner where I'm focusing the camera, looks like a 1950s era office building. So we'll just walk up here to St. Paul's Chapel. See, this building says Transportation Building, 225 Broadway. lot of snow up until like a week ago, and then it all melted. We had a lot of rain. So in some places you'll see a little snow, a little pile of it. So it's only like between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. There's the World Trade Center. Looking down DC Street. St. Paul's Chapel. I'm sure it's on the National Register of Historic Places, and that famous people are buried in the cemetery around the church. Got a lot of use after 9/11. This building with the multicolored lighting, it used to be a sort of a nondescript row of low density commercial stores and stuff, and it was demolished, and then this is a transit center that is a new way to enter the subway system. It's still the same below. The subway lines didn't move, but they built this new entrance, and they'd hoped to have a lot of stores, but from one thing or another, including the latest thing, COVID, hasn't really swept the commercial scene by storm. Just sort of looking at the lobby of this building here. 195 Broadway. And as part of this project, they saved this old building here on the end and incorporated it into the transit center. It's a beautiful old building. So we'll tour Lower Broadway another time. So much history, but so much history that's been erased as construction constantly goes on in Manhattan. So we'll just walk down this street. And the streets themselves, their names have changed. They once were Dutch, and then they were English. A lot of streets had maybe names like King and Prince, or there's still a Prince Street in Manhattan up at Soho, but I'm just thinking of Queen Street maybe. And they were changed after the Americans won the Revolutionary War. They didn't want to have any memories of the British, so they got their names changed again, and I think that's why you'll get names like Spruce Street, Beaver Street maybe. Maybe it used to be called something else. And this is the World Trade Center subway station. It's a high-end mall, but it's really it's built for the Path subway from Lower Manhattan here over to New Jersey. So I've shown it in a previous video, looking at it from the side. It does look spectacular. It better for $8 billion. And who knows, maybe that's an underrepresentation of what it actually cost. So you can go in here and then down and then over to the Path subway, but I'm gonna continue on walking and catch a ferry over to New Jersey. It's just a little walk from City Hall over to the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan.